Hey everybody, Sam here, also known as Mr. Stainless, and if there is one thing you shouldn't ignore when you're playing through State of Decay 2, it's outposts and enclaves. Now today, I'm going to tell you why, but before I do, if you want to stay up to date with all of your State of Decay 2 news, hit that subscribe button down below and join the community here on the channel. Now, enclaves and outposts both serve you and your community of survivors in very different ways, and they'll equally have very different needs. When you boot up a fresh game of State of Decay 2, you'll have a home base with its own needs. It may need fuel to run generators, materials to maintain it, food, water, etc. Now, as you start to meet other survivors and offer them a place to stay, the needs of your base and your community will evolve and change, and depending on where your base is and what build slots you have at your disposal, you may not be able to fulfill those needs yourself as a community. That's where the outposts and enclaves come in. While out in the zombie-infested wasteland, you may come across a construction site that is ripe with building materials. Alternatively, you may come across a gas station with some much-needed gas so that your community can keep running their midnight games of D&D. Well, you'll have two options. You could grab those supplies, put them into a big heavy backpack and lug them all the way back to your base, or you could set up an outpost there which will not only supply your base with a steady stream of that resource, but you'll be able to access your supply locker, and equally it'll create a little safe haven wherever you claim it. Now, it's because of this that these outposts work really well as border outposts. If there are areas of interest on the other side of the map that you want to go check out, it can be pretty useful having a tactical yet useful outpost along the way for you to restock and resupply. Now, if you played through State of Decay 1, you'll know that you could more or less just spam these outposts as long as you had the reputation and influence to spend, thereby creating an impregnable wall of trapped outposts for hordes to walk into, which was pretty useful but not necessarily the most balanced. Now, in State of Decay 2, there will be a limited number of outposts that you can create. This will be dictated by a couple of things. Obviously, it'll depend on whether you have the influence for it, but equally each base can only support a limited number of outposts. If you want to increase this, you'll either need a special perk or to build a certain upgrade in your base. As far as I remember, I'm sure one of you will let me know down in the comments if that isn't correct. But enclaves work slightly differently. Where outposts are kind of like extensions of your own base that feed resources back to you, enclaves are their own micro-communities that can equally supply you with resources. The only difference is that you've got to keep them happy, which makes sense. You don't want to be sending your hard-earned resources to another community if they don't have your back and aren't willing to help you out. Equally, not every enclave is going to want to talk to you. Some enclaves will welcome the opportunity to work together, others will shoot you on sight, unfortunately, and they can be pretty deadly from what we've seen in the gameplay streams so far. In essence, with the enclave mechanic, you could recreate The Walking Dead in your playthroughs, which I think could be really cool. The only thing you need to figure out is whether you'd be a Negan or a Nick. Now, in some of the gameplay that we've seen coming out of Undead Labs so far, we've seen a couple of examples of enclaves. One was a community of doctors that have holed up to try and survive. If you manage to befriend them, they'll supply you with medical supplies, which is course quite nice of them. Another example was of a hostile enclave. At the end of the day, not everyone is going to like you, and when you have another community knock on your door and ask you for resources in return for protection, it'd be understandable why you'd be a little pissed off. As a side note, just in case you're wondering, you can annoy and agitate a friendly enclave to the point that they become hostile to you. And once an enclave is hostile, as far as we know, there is no way that you can get on friendly terms with them again, so keep that in mind whenever you make those decisions. If you do ally yourself with another enclave, don't be surprised if they do ask you for help every now and again. Perhaps there's an infestation near them or a blood plague heart that needs taken care of. Perhaps they're under attack. If you want to ensure that the resources they send you keep coming, you're going to want to make time to go and help them, otherwise they may not think you're actually worth the trouble, or worse yet, the enclave may be overrun and destroyed by the undead. Now for me, I know for sure on my first playthrough that I'll likely try and be friendly with as many enclaves as I can, but what could be interesting later down the line once I've played through the game a couple of times is basically being Negan and going around mercilessly hunting down the enclaves and taking their materials by force. Basically being a bit of a dick, really, for lack of a better word. But what about you? What do you think of the Enclaves, and will you be a Nick or a Negan? Let me know down in the comments below. In the meantime though, hit that subscribe button for more State of Decay 2 goodness. Have a great week, and I'll of course speak to you all soon.